Here's a video going over the Pythagorean theorem worksheet called Pythagorean Mistakes. We notice in this right triangle over here that it has side length 7 and 10, and we're looking for x. And so this person correctly squared 10 to get 100 inches squared. They squared 7 to get 49 inches squared. And it looks like they added things together to get the area of this box. And there's his mistake. What did Mr. Pythagoras do wrong? He added when he should have subtracted. So for this problem, notice that over here, here's a small square. This is actually the big square, and we're looking for this small square over here. So big square, which is 100, minus the small square gets us to the other small square. Notice that 51 is in inches squared. In order to get side length, x should be the square root of 51. That's how many inches x is. And we can pause right there. You could take a calculator and simplify. The square root of 51 should be a little bit more than 7. For the second problem, we'll go through and look. Again, we have a right triangle. This one has side length 5, side length 13, and we're looking for x. They set up the familiar formula, leg squared, which is the small one, plus the small square, the other leg squared, equals the hypotenuse squared. That's our x. They correctly set up 5 squared plus 13 because those are the two legs, and they left x in place of the hypotenuse, and then we come across our mistake right here. 5 squared is not 10, 13 squared is definitely not 26, so they squared wrong. More specifically, they doubled instead of doing squaring. So right here, we'll pick up 5 squared plus 13 squared equals x squared. 5 squared is 25, 13 squared is 169, that equals x squared. So we know that the area, x squared, is 194. Don't forget the square root. That to get side length, 194 millimeters. That's our answer for the second problem. Going down here, let's see, we have a right triangle. We know that this leg that we're looking for is x, this smaller leg is 6, and the hypotenuse is 11. They correctly multiplied to get this big square, they multiplied to get 36 down here, and it looks like they correctly did subtraction this time. 121 minus 36 is in fact 85 meters squared, and they stopped there. Stopped too early is the mistake. He should have square rooted. Square rooted 85. X should be the square root of 85 meters. That's something around 9.4 maybe? Definitely less than 10. And that's the third problem. This problem looks a bit complicated. There's a bunch of triangles going on. They got 81 from multiplying this. It looks like they found this big square. They saw 7, they multiplied it or squared it to get this big square because they're trying to find this square to find x. So the square root of 32, which is this minus this. The 81 minus 49, 32 is like this area, so they think. And then they square root it to get x. But then we notice down here that that's the triangle of interest. This is your right triangle. In red here, notice that neither of these parts of the triangle are right angles. So what did he do wrong? Applied a Pythagorean theorem, to a non-right triangle. So if you notice in green, we can draw in the boxes, should be 4.9 squared plus 4 squared plus 4.9 squared equals x squared. 4 squared plus 4.9 squared equals x squared. 4 squared is 16. 4.9 squared is 24.01. 24.01. So x squared is 40.01. To get x, side length, we take the square root of 40.01, which is something about 6.3 maybe? I know it's between 6 and 7. Definitely closer to 6 because that's 36 versus 7 because that's 49 squared feet. For this last problem, let's do some analysis. We see that, okay, there's our right triangle. There's our right triangle. There's 9. There's 14. We're looking for x. 14 squared is 196. 9 squared is 81. You do some subtraction. That's correct because 14 is the hypotenuse. That's the largest side. Taking away the small square does give us the area of this big square. And then, notice down here, they did something real funny. That lies our mistake. They divided by 2 to get a final answer of x equals 57.5 centimeters. That's definitely wrong. Divided by 2 instead of finding the square root. Square root of 115 should have been his answer, centimeters. That's the last problem.